thrilled to welcome a very special guest to MKTNG 10, Angela Ficarelli, the one and the only, our very first employee here at MKTNG. Angela joined us a decade ago, back when we were just getting started. Angela came to us having been a co-founder of another digital marketing shop. She served MKTNG as the director of client services, where she built client relationships and drove results with innovative strategies. Angela has always had a knack for staying ahead of the curve. Over the years, she's worked with an incredible range of brands, from luxury tile galleries to mortgage firms, and now as marketing and business development director at Hilltop Radiology. She's crafting authentic, story-driven experiences that connect people to brands in meaningful ways. Angela's passion for marketing, her creative warrior spirit, and her ability to navigate this ever-evolving landscape make her the perfect person to feature in our trip down memory lane. So let's dive in. Angela, welcome back to the MKTNG family, even if it's just for the next 45 mintes.
Well, thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. Woohoo!
Well, we could spend 45 minutes. I just glow about you because I really enjoyed working with you. It was fantastic.
It was definitely a good time. It was definitely a good time. We were going through a lot of the same things at the same time as well. So it was definitely.
Oh gosh. Yes. Right. Yes. We could get into all the history, but that was we ended up living near each other, and the kids were the same age, and we saw all the things. So pretty nuts. But let's talk about what you're up to now. Tell me about your current gig and what you're doing.
So I've pretty much been with Hilltop Imaging. We have three facilities in the Sacramento area. Well, one in Elk Grove and one in Roseville, and then one's in the Bay Area. It's under the umbrella Hilltop Imaging, and I'm the marketing director. I really do a lot of in-person like one-to-one connections, as well as like spoiling people from with coffee dates and food and really sort of trying to get that connection with them so that we can talk personally, and it's a little bit more of an emotional connection with our facility. So, I mean, that's kind of in a nutshell what I do right now, which is completely different from what I've done in the past in terms of marketing. I started in traditional and then moved into digital. And so this is like a breath of fresh air, because I feel like this is the part of me that's really good. The part of me that comes out that is really, really good.
Right. Well, what I like that your job is very people centric. It sounds like, right?
Yes.
And it's funny when we talk about marketing. There's this just, for one, very few people even understand what marketing means. But you have people who do marketing, and I'm writing a response to an RFP for the government, right? And they're marketing people, but they sit at a computer all day and type things, right? They're really word people. And then there's what we do here at MKTNG, which is words and pictures and telling stories. And it really is about like taking a brand and putting it in front of the masses. And then there's what you're doing, which is like doing one-on-one, like going and relating to people and telling them the story in person, like kind of embodying the brand, and
Absolutely.
going and educating and storytelling.
So I do provide, just so you know, I do provide graphics. Like I'll come up with different graphic pieces, which can be my like conversation starters with when I'm in front of those people. It provides just a little bit more insight into whatever the topic is that we might be talking about in terms of healthcare and the modalities that we have at our facilities, and how that's going to serve their facility and their patients, and provide them with the results that they're looking for. So I do provide some media in terms of like presenting a talking point.
Yeah, right. Very cool. Well, let's go back a little bit and we'll talk about your time here at MKTNG. We worked on a lot of really fun projects, and I just wanted to know if you had a fun memory or had one that you were really fond of looking back.
Absolutely. There was quite a few. But I would say my most fondest was the Palladio. I that Working with the Palladio was so much fun. We were just Gloria was very progressive in her thought process for that mall, and I don't know if she's still there, but she always wanted us to come up with new ideas, and she had a lot of ideas herself. So we got to put our creative hats on and really kind of think outside the box and come up with some, fantastic events for that center. And my favorite, of course, was the Stache Bash. That was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, I was revisiting, thinking about that work, and that client in particular is one that really stood out for me. I mean, like to look back and go, we put on a little concert, like a little festival,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah,
was really cool. And, Palladio as a client, they demonstrated a great deal of openness, right? So
yeah.
we would put together, I remember sort of we'd shoot for like 10 or 12, like, let's put together a menu of kind of, not wild ideas, but sort of, some were big, some were little.
Mhm.
A pub crawl, a beer week
Yeah, too.
campaign for the craft beer week. How can we host some bloggers on the property and show some influencers around? And I thought we were progressive with influencer marketing,
I thought
frankly,
so
at the
too.
time,
Hmm. Hmm.
hosting bloggers. And you know, I think MKTNG was fortunate to have you on hand because I think you have a real penchant for creating a good time. Like you were great at ideating the
Who,
thing.
me?
Yeah. I mean, and then you were good to have round, like like a good host, right? And so we benefited from that, and Palladio did as well, and it was that was really fun work. And the Stash Bass was really, I didn't know how good it was, how good of an idea it was until we did it, right?
Right. Until
Uh,
afterwards, really. Yeah.
right, because I just thought it was, it just sounds like a dumb idea, frankly. Like you're saying, oh,
Right.
it's a Stash Bass, right?
Yeah.
But then, I remember selling that idea to people afterwards.
Yes.
And I said, the thing is, everybody that we had fake mustaches for all the guests. They could, pick one, and and then what do? They take pictures and
Yeah.
post them, right? And it just became this viral, like, here's what I'm doing at Palladio. I'm having a good time, and look at me and my mustache, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, it just was, in retrospect, a really good idea. And I tell people we knew that going in, but I'm
Of
now being
course we
honest.
did. Of course we did.
Now I'm being honest. I'm like, that was fortuitous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a ton of fun. Um, Bravo,
It was
yeah.
hard to just pick one when you asked me that. Like it was hard to think of just one because there was a lot of events that we did at the Palladio they were all so very successful. I mean, some were more successful than others, but and I think that we were definitely forward thinking and ahead of a lot of other people that kind of made some things take off afterwards. So at least I like to think of it that way. And I mean, even Scott Seafood, their event was pretty successful. The Yelp event
Oh, right.
that we launched, that was pretty good as well. They never did another one afterwards, but it helped guide them in the right direction. Being able to
Right.
hold an event like that. Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yelp was a partner on the Stache Bash too. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, they were a good partner to plan stuff with. And that event we had on the back patio at Scott's was actually another fun event. I enjoyed that. Yeah, wow, that was fun. Um, so we obviously did a lot of stuff. So we did some event planning, and we did lots of social media and a little PR and website stuff. What of the stuff that you know we were doing 10 years ago? What if that has carried on with you that you continue to do now? What are you like? What aspect of that kind of marketing have you continued to enjoy in your current role?
So I would say, well, when I was my short little stint when I was over at the mortgage company, I did use a few of the tools from MKTNG. For example, I shared the social media calendar that you had developed. I kind of always kept that in my tool chest. It's just a very simple, easy way to get yourself going. And I shared that with quite a few mortgage advisors too, so that it would allow them to develop their own content. For the role that I have been in since COVID, um, in terms of like graphics and things, I would say the only thing I took away really from MKTNG that I still use now is sort of the lean philosophy, more or
Mm,
less, for the agency. It works very well for how I'm working right now because I'm the only person in the marketing department. I am the marketing department. So, and with that, I'm doing in-person communications as well as the graphics for our flyers, as well as I built all the websites. So I don't have social media running for any of the healthcare facilities. It's not an avenue that's needed right now because there's so many referrals coming in. I think it would just be too overwhelming for me to try to manage that without hiring at least one person to help with the management aspect.
right.
Because when you're in the field, you can't. It's really difficult to answer questions, online, and a lot of the times you have to be immediately available, as we know. And if
Right.
you're not immediately available, it can definitely hinder progress. So rather than start it, or rather than start it and stop it, I just haven't started it yet.
Yeah. Right. Right. Um, so, tell me about what you think the future looks like? Do you like with marketing and maybe just even in the frame of radiology and or marketing and healthcare in general? Like, do
Sure.
you do you see anything evolving? Do you or do you just love like you're doing kind of an old school approach
Absolutely.
in terms of like going out and meet people in person? Like, do you want to move? Like, would you want to move away from that? Like, what I don't know. Tell me about what the future looks like in your industry as you feel like that is maturing
Yeah.
and growing and changing.
Well, Scott, I was kind of thinking about this a little earlier today. And I mean, in marketing in general, we've seen, because I've been in this industry for, gosh, like 25 years now, and gone from print and radio and TV to digital, then disruption, and now we're sort of in we're in an emerging technology now, right? With AI, and who knows what's going to happen. They keep saying that it's going to come within the next 5 years, but looking at the data, and that's what I like to look at in order to determine outcomes. I still look at a lot of data. The creative person and the analytical person are still going to be around. So I think that no matter if there are positions eliminated within marketing, because we always seem to go first, right? That that I still think there's a lot of avenues that there is going to be growth in. And, I welcome the change because that's what we have to do in marketing. We have to continuously pivot in order, if something's not working, then we look at another solution to see if that's going to work. And as long as we can adapt and we can change, there's always going to be a place for us to continue to grow, I think. Is that a
Right.
good answer?
No, I mean, well, I love the idea of what you're doing. Like this, again, your, your industry and your position that, marketing is going and standing in front of real people and it, it's adjacent to selling, but you're representing the company and there to help answer some questions, provide some refreshment and some information, right? You've
Hmm.
got collateral that you're developing and delivering, and there's a refreshing aspect to it because everybody else in our sphere is talking about technology.
Yeah.
And the aspect of marketing that I least like is when people talk about automation. And like, I love the concept of automation in terms of something does something for me when I'm not around,
Hmm.
uh,
Absolutely.
or it doesn't cost me much effort. But there's parts of marketing that I want, like I want for our clients' behalf to be able to touch and interact with and improve. And Uh, I'm just not as excited about a computer doing that instead
Oh,
of
sure.
human. And in terms of the people that you're seeing and interacting, I just can't imagine that being done by a bot, right? We've replaced Angela with a text message and a Starbucks gift card, right? Like,
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
no, I don't see that at all. But guess what? I could automate that pretty easily. I could send
Yeah.
everybody a text message and a $5 Starbucks gift card,
Hmm.
and and a link to an online PDF or landing page.
Hmm.
And there are people who, like, because we want to have Angelos all over the place and we can't. They want to do it digitally, and so I just love the idea of what you're doing about being out in front of real people, having real conversations, answering questions, and really embodying, the brand of the radiological group. And I just think that probably pays a nice dividend. I think every business, if it was scalable, would be well served to have people out in the community
Absolutely.
representing them, right? I
Yeah,
think everybody,
absolutely.
everybody, everybody would probably choose that first. Um, so no, I love what you're doing. I think it's really interesting, and I wonder. Back to my question, which was about the future.
Hmm.
I wonder if the future is that what you're doing is a much higher value. Like,
I think so. I think because that's one, like, connection with another human being. We can't replace that with a computer. So the computer can do a lot of things, and we need people in order to give the computer the direction so that it can then process and provide the results for us. I mean, maybe AI will get to a point where it doesn't need any human interaction at all. But I can't imagine a world where human beings don't want to interact. I mean, it's like, I'll give you an example. It's like those automated phone services, like when you call a really busy company, AT&T, for example. Not that I want to give them any props, but you
yeah,
call them and you get this automated phone system, and it takes you 20 minutes to find a human being to talk to. And a lot of the times they divert it and send it somewhere else. So being able to have that direct connection to a company to be able to serve the needs that you're looking for in your own business, absolutely. I don't think that can be replaced by a computer. And um, I think that there are a lot of people still in the world and in the future that will still want that type of service. I know it's not for everybody though, in terms of like, somebody wanting a position like this, because it can be exhausting at times, doing a lot of talking and taking on different energies from groups of people and conversations. Can be a little exhausting at times, but it can be really energizing and a lot of fun.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. I think like we talk about how as the technology becomes more and more advanced and reaches more people, but as in AI, like everything becomes more artificial, like
Mhm.
really artificial. That we as consumers, we're gonna value experiences more, right? And I
Mhm.
think that live events, concerts, festivals, and you know, we we went out 3 or 4 weeks ago to like a pub trivia with some friends, and it was such a really fun experience to be out, in a little pub
Yeah.
doing trivia. And I think that the more things advanced in the technological artificial way, that higher touch outreach, like what you're doing, is going to be even more valuable.
I think
That's what
so
I think.
too. I think so
Yeah.
too.
There's
I
always
hope,
like the
I hope
there's
so.
always the there's always the action and reaction, right? I think
For
there's
sure. For sure.
sort of yeah, that's
I
interesting.
use it every day, though, Scott. I mean, I've always leveraged technology as it's come out. I was using copywriting AI tools at least 5 years ago, to assist with, when you're trying to find out new
Right,
ideas, you need to bounce it off somebody. A computer's great for that if you don't
right.
have a human that's around. So, it's definitely a great assistant. That's for sure. I find it a great assistant for myself.
Oh yeah, we're not down on it at all.
Mhm.
But we always like it. We like it as a way to help the human, right? It's
Yeah.
helping you communicate better, helping you be more effective. Um, but yeah, very good. Yeah. Well, are there any cool, marketing programs that you're working on now that you want to share? You're excited about?
Well, I wouldn't say that I have anything that's exciting. Just trying to leverage technology the best we can. I've been learning a lot about Ring Central. That's our phone system that we use at work,
Yeah.
and we're getting busier and busier. And so I'm going to be integrating some texting capabilities with that system, and probably launching some kind of an AI bot of some sort to help with FAQ type questions and things like that. But in terms of like just radiology, in terms of like software, some of the advances that are going to start coming out in the next few years are really going to just assist with better healthcare outcomes for our patients. So that's pretty exciting, knowing that that's coming.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mhm.
Those will be really great stories to tell, right?
So yeah.
Outcomes will find their way into marketing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, that's really cool. Are there any like brands or product like what outside of your work? Are there any things that you're using, touching, playing with that you're excited about from a marketing standpoint? Brands you love. I don't know.
I mean, except for all the different AI tools, I think I've tested them all out now. That's
Right.
kind of what I've been doing for the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. I think I'm using all the same brands that I have. Like I'm invested. I have all Apple products. I have an
Yeah.
iPhone. I haven't steered away from any of those because I feel like when something really works, I don't want to use anything else. Why reinvent the wheel if it's working? We can improve it, but I don't want to reinvent it. Um, you know what? I did find a new pair of shoes recently. Can I share that?
Yeah,
I mean, I think it has something to do with
very.
my age. I don't want to dress like a grandma yet, even though I am the age that I could be a grandma. But I just want really comfortable, like stylish, cute shoes. And I found these shoes, and I probably have them in here. They're called Earth, and I saw them at Macy's, and I thought they don't look well. They look kind of stylish, but they're probably, I don't know. I just didn't want to try them on before, but I tried them on. I ended up buying two pairs, and they weren't cheap. They run 150, 120, 125, $150 each. Most
Wow.
comfortable pair of shoes ever, though. And at this age you don't grow out of your shoes, so I'll keep them
Right.
around for a while. They're called Earth. I think it's Earth. Let me
Oh
just
my
grab
God,
it. One
that's so
second,
funny.
one second,
Yeah,
one
yeah,
second.
yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah. Earth. They're called.
Oh, they're kind of like a clog with
Yeah,
a heel.
there's so much cushion in here. They're so
Wow,
comfortable.
fun.
Yeah, so a fun shoe. I got some of those, and I got another pair of boots, which
Um,
should see me through the rainy season. Yeah.
uh, so what you mentioned you're playing with all the AI tools. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite go-to AI?
So I
Like,
was just on ChatGPT there for a while, and then all of a sudden, Claude came out, and then what was it? The DeepSeek came out.
yep,
I'm afraid to use the DeepSeek because it's. I don't know if it's a Chinese spy, but I mean, I don't know. Just with everything they're saying, I did try it
right,
out.
yeah,
Uh, but in terms of, I really like Grok. Like, believe it or not,
yeah,
it has a
I believe it.
personality, and I like it. It's fun. I feel like ChatGPT is a little more flat, and there's not a lot of funness behind the app. Whereas you're using Grok, and there is just, I don't know, it's just so much personality. I almost feel like I'm talking to a real person in that one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, absolutely.
Mhm.
I
What
agreed.
about
So
you?
your intro was written by Grok,
Oh,
um,
okay.
with the help of Grok,
Okay.
and your LinkedIn profile, and my knowledge, of course. Um, but so I like having Grok available.
Yes.
Um, my major like problem with Grok is everything stays in Grok. You can't
Oh,
copy. You can't copy and paste. Like, so, if you do something and it cites 20 websites and there's
mhm.
hyperlinks in Grok, you can't copy and paste that into a Google Doc.
Right.
All the links disappear.
Right.
It only brings over text. And
Hmm.
so I'm like, well, if I use Grok to develop a several page brief, and that's great, but I can't, like, if I want to massage it, I have to keep it in Grok, and Grok's not really a word processing platform.
Right. Right.
So we also, we're still entirely, entrenched in Google products as the company, and so we have Gemini, like, right into our Google Docs. So so we write all of our briefs, and all of our, anything that's writing is
Hmm.
all done in the Google Docs, and Gemini is built right into the Google Docs. And
Yeah.
so Gemini has been really, really helpful in that regard, because it's just sitting there next to whatever
Right.
we're working on.
I use Gemini too, but it's been a couple months. Like, I did the whole early,
Yeah,
early
yeah,
access, and the early access wasn't really all that great. And so then I kind of switched over to Chat GPT for a while. And now I'm on the Grok bandwagon. I tried Claude, but I don't know. I don't like that one as much.
yeah.
You have to
I
pay for
mean,
the model.
it's a horse race. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like every month somebody's going to gain an advantage, and you're going to go, okay, well, let me try. You know, Claude will, Anthropic owns Claude, so they'll come out with some, new release, and ChatGPT will do a new release, and so it's fun to try them out, like, do the same prompts and different ones, and kind of
Mhm.
see who does better. So I'm not like committing to any of them, other
Me
than
neither.
you know, Gemini's like just has a place that's already integrated into Google, so they
Yeah,
kind of win in that regard. Um, yeah, it's like just keep playing, and sure enough, there's going to be another big thing, right? Like DeepSeek, and
for sure.
uh, there's just all every month, there's going to be some new development, and I just like to stay loose and
Yeah.
be agile, so you can switch to whatever's going to help you.
Absolutely. I feel like there's a lot coming out right now, and a lot of it's kind of useless too. I don't know if you subscribe to any newsletters for
Oh
like what's
yes, yeah,
happening. I
tons.
have to in order to just do the research because there's so much. But yeah, it's it's going to be interesting the next few years. I'm in for the wild ride.
Right, right. It does sort of remind me of the early days of social media, where it just felt
Yeah.
it was kind of a wild west, like
Hmm.
you know environment, which was fun. Social
Yeah.
media was fun back then.
It was because, like, we didn't really know what we were doing in the beginning. We just, fake it till you make it kind of situation. Like, okay, let's run with
Right.
this and see what happens. And
Yeah.
I believe that's where all the A/B testing came from.
Right. I mean, it's like I remember the days when Facebook was just people, and then they decided, somebody just companies.
Hmm.
What does it mean that Nike has a Facebook page? Like their page is not a business profile. It's just the same as Angela or Scott. Like I would be a friend of Facebook, a friend of Nike on a social media platform.
Hmm.
And I remember that happening, for a couple of years, and we're like, what does that mean? What do people want to be friends with brands?
Right?
And then I remember, like, and there were no analytics for that.
No.
So you just sort of went, what happens? And, Nike did pretty well. But then, eventually they created the business page, like, oh, and
Hmm.
you can like a business, and it's now a business, and a business can't be a person, and all that
Right.
stuff, which seems like a no brainer now, but
Yeah.
it didn't then.
No.
That
The
it
place.
wasn't even a given that we wanted brands on a social media platform. They launched it, and you just thought this is a place for people,
Yeah.
not for companies, not for shoes. But
Mhm.
anyway,
It
well, this
was
has
a bit of
been
a
yes, this has
frenzy.
been a delightful conversation.
Yes.
Thank you so much for hopping on here and talking. It's so lovely to have a visit, and I wish you so much well at the radiological group and your work there.
Thank you.
And thanks for the visit.
Yeah, it's been fun.